Welcome to Resourcevol Visionaries, the podcast where we explore inspiring stories from the nonprofit sector. This podcast is a free global learning resource for nonprofit professionals, dedicated to sharing innovative solutions and addressing challenges within the nonprofit community. In each episode, we'll dive into real-life examples of how individuals and organizations are making a difference, guided by the Vision for Volunteering's 5 key themes: awareness and appreciation, power, equity and inclusion, collaboration, and experimentation. Whether you're a seasoned nonprofit leader or just starting out, you'll find valuable insights and inspiration to help you in your mission to create positive change and shape the future of volunteering.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into something really inspiring, inclusive volunteering.
Okay.
But we're going hyper-local this time.
Okay.
Zeroing in on Stoke-on-Trent.
Right.
With a fascinating report from the organization that works with the voluntary, community, and social enterprise sector in the area.
Yeah, they do great work.
Yeah, and what's remarkable about this report is that VAST didn't just study inclusive volunteering from a distance. They really rolled up their sleeves and they jumped right into the heart of it. They wanted to understand the real-life barriers that people face when it comes to volunteering.
Yeah, and they didn't rely on some distant national survey either. This report is grounded in the lived experiences of over 150 individuals from Stoke-on-Trent.
So they really wanted to get a feel for the unique challenges within this specific community.
Absolutely. And it's in those individual stories that the report truly comes alive.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine struggling with anxiety or low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Maybe even facing stigma because of your background or something.
Right.
I mean, those are very real hurdles that can make the thought of volunteering feel completely out of reach.
Yeah, you're right. It's easy to see how those personal barriers combined with practical challenges like finding time in a busy schedule or navigating transportation issues could make volunteering feel almost impossible.
Exactly. VAST's research identified those as some of the most significant roadblocks for people in Stoke-on-Trent.
So they've identified the challenges, right?
Yes.
We've designed this targeted project.
Yes.
Now, drumroll please, what kind of impact did they actually make?
Get this. They engaged 300 individuals.
Wow.
And successfully placed 193 of them.
That's amazing.
Into meaningful volunteer roles.
Wow.
And remember, these weren't just any volunteers.
Right.
These were individuals who were facing significant obstacles: mental health challenges, disabilities, neurodiversity, involvement with the criminal justice system, substance misuse history, you name it.
That's incredible. That's a real testament to the power of a well-designed program.
It is.
But it wasn't just about placing people into roles, was it?
No.
VAST understood that true inclusion requires ongoing support.
Absolutely. They went above and beyond to provide that support, even expanding their network to include job centers, mental health services, schools, housing providers.
Oh, wow.
They worked hand in hand with these organizations to ensure that individuals felt supported every step of the way.
I bet those partnerships proved invaluable.
Oh, yeah.
Did VAST get any feedback from those organizations about the impact they were seeing?
They did, and it was overwhelmingly positive.
That's great.
One employment advisor actually wrote to VAST and said, and I quote, "You are simply amazing, and I really appreciate all of the hard work and dedication you apply to your role. It really does mean the world."
Wow, that's powerful. Clearly, VAST's commitment resonated deeply with these organizations and the individuals they serve.
It did.
It wasn't enough for VAST to just rely on anecdotal evidence, though, was it?
No, it wasn't.
They wanted hard data to understand the impact this program was having.
You're right. They were incredibly thorough, using questionnaires and in-depth conversations with the volunteers to gauge the impact on their confidence, feelings of loneliness, and the skills they were developing.
So this wasn't about ticking boxes. This was about truly understanding how volunteering was changing lives.
Precisely.
All right, let's dive into that data. What were some of the most striking discoveries they made? What was the real impact of this inclusive approach to volunteering?
One of the most dramatic findings was this surge in confidence that was reported by the volunteers.
Yeah.
Before starting, most of them rated their confidence at a 5 out of 10.
So right in the middle, kind of neutral territory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But after experiencing the power of volunteering, the majority soared to a 9.
A 9.
Yeah.
That's almost double their initial confidence levels.
It is.
What was it about this program that sparked such a significant shift in how these individuals viewed themselves?
Well, a lot of the volunteers spoke about how The simple act of showing up, contributing their time, and feeling useful had this ripple effect on their self-belief. It wasn't just about the task at hand. It was about recognizing their own inherent worth
Right.
and their capacity to make a difference.
Yeah. It's amazing how empowering it can be to step outside of your comfort zone and realize you're capable of more than you thought.
It is.
Did VAST delve into how their approach to supporting volunteers might have contributed to this confidence boost?
They did. They recognized that mental well-being plays a huge role, so they partnered with an organization called Changes. They developed this 3-week course called Wellbeing Wednesdays. It was about equipping volunteers with practical tools to manage their mental health, recognizing negative thought patterns, managing stress and anxiety, healthy coping mechanisms, that sort of thing.
So they were really addressing those internal barriers head on.
Exactly. And it worked. 67% of participants said the course directly helped their volunteering.
Wow, those are impressive results.
Yeah, they were really happy with how that turned out. And vast commitment to addressing those unseen barriers, like low self-esteem and anxiety, is likely a big reason why they saw such a significant increase in confidence.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much untapped potential is out there,
I know.
just waiting for the right opportunity and the right support system to flourish.
Absolutely.
Confidence wasn't the only area where VAST uncovered some fascinating insights. The report also digs into the complex issue of loneliness. What did they learn about how volunteering impacted that aspect of people's lives?
So this is where the findings get really nuanced.
Okay.
Initially, VAST's research, based on pre-project interviews, hinted at high levels of loneliness among potential volunteers.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
We often associate volunteering with social connection.
Right.
So it stands to reason that individuals who are struggling with loneliness might be drawn to those opportunities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what VAST discovered was that the experience of loneliness wasn't always so cut and dry.
Okay.
While some volunteers did report lower loneliness scores overall after engaging in the project, many still experienced it even when surrounded by others.
So it suggests that simply being around people isn't always enough to combat loneliness.
Precisely.
Right.
It highlights the importance of understanding the nuances of loneliness and recognizing that it can manifest in different ways for different people.
Yeah.
It's not just about the quantity of social interaction,
Right.
but the quality.
And the sense of belonging that those interactions foster.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about fostering a sense of true connection.
Yes.
Not just filling empty spaces with bodies.
Exactly.
It sounds like VAST was attuned to that need for a deeper connection.
They were.
Did their report touch on how the volunteer skills developed through this program?
It did. Before starting, the most common skills volunteers identified were friendly and punctual.
Okay.
Good qualities, for sure, but not necessarily indicative of a diverse skill set.
Right.
However, after their placements, the range of skills they identified exploded.
Oh, wow.
We're talking teamwork, problem-solving, communication, even specific technical skills related to their roles.
Okay.
Volunteering became this incredible journey of self-discovery and skill building far beyond those initial self-perceived strengths.
That speaks volumes about the power of providing people with the right support and opportunities to step into their potential.
It does.
It's not just about filling volunteer roles, it's about unlocking hidden talents.
Yes.
And fostering personal growth.
Precisely. And to really illustrate that transformation, VAST included 4 in-depth volunteer case studies in their report.
Oh.
One that stood out to me was a woman, let's call her Sarah.
Good.
Sarah had experienced significant challenges with her physical and mental health,
Okay.
leading to social isolation and really rock bottom confidence levels. She actually rated her confidence a 2 out of 10 when she began the program.
A 2.
A 2 out of 10.
It's hard to imagine feeling that low.
I know.
It sounds like she was at a really difficult point in her life.
She was.
Yeah.
But VAST's program worked wonders.
Yeah.
By the end of the program, her confidence had more than doubled to a 5.
Wow.
And her loneliness score had significantly decreased.
That's incredible. What a testament to the transformative power of finding the right fit.
Yes.
And feeling truly supported in your volunteer role.
Absolutely. And Sarah's story is just one of many, of individuals blossoming in their volunteer roles and experiencing profound personal growth.
It really highlights how inclusive volunteering isn't just about filling gaps in services.
Right.
It's about investing in people
Yes.
and creating a ripple effect of positive change that extends far beyond those initial placements.
Exactly. But as you mentioned, a big part of that success comes down to the support system VAST put in place.
Right.
They didn't just place people into roles and hope for the best. They created this incredible ecosystem of support tailored to address the unique needs of volunteers.
Okay, let's dive into that support system.
Okay.
What were some of the specific initiatives VAST implemented to ensure these individuals felt supported and empowered throughout their volunteer journey?
Well, they realized, even those eager to volunteer might feel unsure about taking that first step.
Yeah, it can be intimidating.
Exactly. So they created this program, Introduction to Volunteering.
Like a volunteering 101.
Yeah, exactly. This training, it wasn't about bogging people down with rules and regulations. It was about empowerment. Volunteers learned what to expect, how to navigate different settings, communicate effectively.
It's like they weren't just given a map, but a compass and some hiking boots, too.
That's a great way to put it. And the volunteers really appreciated it. Many of them said it helped them feel more prepared, boosted their confidence.
Okay, so they tackled that initial hurdle of stepping into the world of volunteering. But what about the practical stuff, like transportation, which we know is a major barrier?
Yeah, they were very aware of that. And they knew a one-size-fits-all approach wasn't going to cut it. So they designed this travel training scheme. It was all about flexibility, adapting to individual needs.
Okay, so what did that look like in action?
It really depended on the person. For some, it was intensive training navigating public transportation, timetables, road signs, safety, all of that.
Right, because for some people, that's a huge barrier in itself.
Exactly. For others, it was more about personalized route planning, exploring different options, sometimes even just addressing anxieties about traveling alone.
It sounds like they were determined to find a way to make it work no matter what.
They really were.
Yeah.
And it made a huge difference. One story that sticks with me is about this woman. Before the project, she relied completely on others for transportation. She wouldn't even cross the street by herself, let alone use public transport. But through the travel training, she not only gained the confidence to travel alone, even started attending her placements independently.
That's incredible. What a difference. But this wasn't just about supporting the volunteers themselves, was it? VAST realized that you need to take a broader approach for true inclusion.
Absolutely. Organizations needed the tools and knowledge to support volunteers with different needs, so they provided training and resources just for them. They even created a whole guidebook, Inclusive Volunteering, a guide for organizations.
They were really committed to making a lasting impact, not just a one-time thing.
Absolutely. And they took it even further. They established a volunteer managers network. This brought together organizations from across the city. It was about collaboration, shared learning, everyone working together.
That's fantastic. So it wasn't just VAST dictating everything. It was about creating a space for dialogue.
Exactly. And one of the things they realized from the network was that volunteers needed more peer support, too. They wanted to connect with others who understood their experiences.
That makes perfect sense. It can be so helpful to talk to someone who gets it.
And VAST listened. They created the VAST Volunteer Forum, a dedicated space for volunteers to connect, share stories, support each other.
So they were really fostering the sense of community, a space where those voices could be heard and valued.
Yes, exactly.
This has been so inspiring. But at the end of the day, what matters is the long-term impact. Did these initiatives lead to real, lasting change for the volunteers?
They did. One of the most striking findings was the impact on loneliness and isolation. Remember how many mentioned feeling lonely, even if it wasn't constant?
Right, because it's complex. It's not just about how many people you're around.
Right. Well, in follow-up surveys, many said they felt significantly less lonely, more connected. They had a reason to get out of the house, felt valued for their contributions.
Yeah, it's about feeling like you have a purpose.
Exactly. It shows how inclusive volunteering is about giving people a sense of belonging, of purpose, a lifeline to something bigger than themselves.
It's about changing lives, both for the volunteers and the community.
Exactly. And the impact went beyond the individual level. VAST's work with those referral partners, it created a ripple effect across Stoke-on-Trent. Organizations became more aware of inclusive volunteering. They were better equipped to support diverse volunteers.
So it was about creating systemic change, not just a temporary fix.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening. As we wrap up, what's the key takeaway here? What can we learn from VAST's success?
For me, it's this. Inclusive volunteering. It's not just about charity. It's about recognizing the value in every single person, no matter their background, no matter their challenges.
It's about creating a community where everyone has the opportunity to contribute, to connect, to thrive.
Exactly. And in doing so, It's not just the volunteers who benefit. It creates a stronger, more vibrant community for everyone.
And that's a goal worth striving for in Stoke-on-Trent and beyond.
If you have a story you'd like to share or know of any resourceful visionaries doing great things in the non-profit sector, we'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch by emailing hello@resourcevol.com. You could be featured on an upcoming episode, helping to inspire your non-profit professional peers around the world and shape the future of volunteering. In the meantime, remember to subscribe to this podcast and follow Resourcevol on social media for more inspiring content and valuable insights.